All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most calculated heists in the entire digital world. It's a crazy story of hype, of deception, and how an entire fortune can be just stolen in the blink of an eye. This is the anatomy of a rug pull.
So, picture this. A brand new token, maybe it's called something noble like Save the Kids, starts getting promoted by all your favorite influencers. They're promising you massive wealth, and hey, they're donating to charity. So you invest, but then, within just a few hours of launch, the price crashes, over 90%. This isn't just a bit of bad luck, This is a meticulously planned theft.
You're just sitting there, staring at your screen, thinking you've gotten in on the ground floor of the next big thing. The community's buzzing, the chart's going up, and then, just like that, it's all gone. The ability to sell just vanishes. The value completely evaporates, and the developers, well, they're nowhere to be found. That gut-wrenching feeling of betrayal, that's what it feels like to be on the receiving end of a rug pull.
So the big question is, how do they actually pull this off? I mean, this isn't just some simple smash and grab. These malicious actors have a really sophisticated toolkit that's designed to build up your trust and then completely shatter it for maximum profit. So let's break down exactly how this heist is planned.
First off, let's get our terms straight. A rug pull is, well, it's exactly what it sounds like. Developers create a token, they get everyone to invest, and then they literally pull the rug out from under everybody by draining the liquidity pool. That pool is what allows trading to happen. So once that pool is empty, your tokens are basically worthless because there's no money left in the system to trade them for.
You know, the con actually starts long before the public launch even happens. This is what we call the accumulation phase. Insiders will use what are called aged wallets, wallets that look established and legitimate, to get early access and just hoard tons of tokens. They might even launch Sybil attacks, using thousands of fake accounts to create artificial buzz on social media or to win all the presale spots. And then there's wash trading. That's when they're just buying and selling to themselves to create this illusion of high volume and demand, which of course lures in unsuspecting investors like you and me.
And you might be thinking these things are super rare, but honestly, the scale is pretty surprising. While yeah, most projects are legitimate, nearly 4% of all new tokens launched on decentralized exchanges just this year show these telltale signs of being a scheme. It seems like a small slice of the pie, but that little slice represents millions and millions of dollars in potential losses.
And here is the absolute kicker. In a staggering 94% of these rug pulls, the liquidity pool is drained by the exact same person who created it. It's an inside job, from the very beginning to the very end. So what this really tells us is that vetting a project isn't just about the cool tech, it's about scrutinizing the team behind it, because the person who built the house is almost always the one who burns it down.
And then comes the final act, the pull. The developers might secretly change the smart contract code after the launch. They could remove anti-whale protections or sell limits for their own wallets while keeping them in place for everyone else. And with their path totally clear, they just dump their massive hoard of tokens, draining all the liquidity and setting the price straight to zero.
The heist is over, but the story, well, the story isn't. Every single action on the blockchain leaves a trace. So now we're going to shift from talking about the crime to the investigation, to decoding the digital footprints these manipulators always leave behind.
Getting the money is one thing, with actually keeping it without getting caught is another. Think of it like a digital getaway. They use chain hopping, which is like switching highways between different blockchains to break the trail. They create peel chains, which is kind of like throwing small bills out the window in every direction to create confusion. And finally, they use mixers to blend their dirty crypto with clean funds, making it almost impossible to trace back to the source.
Now, detecting these schemes really requires two different ways of thinking. For traders who are on the front lines, it's all about real-time visualization, using tools like heat maps to spot fake orders or weird algorithmic patterns. But for investigators, it's a deep forensic dive. They're looking for things like scatter-gather patterns and wallet activity, and they use really advanced methods like topological data analysis to find the hidden connections buried in all the market chaos.
And this quote just brilliantly illustrates the power of the human eye, right? Just like a capture test proves you're not a robot, a trader's ability to just see the patterns in market data can often outperform an algorithm. Visualization tools help traders spot manipulation that a machine, just looking at raw numbers, might totally miss. But these manipulators aren't just operating in a vacuum. The law is catching up, and it's catching up fast. This brings us to the response from regulators, who are now actively cracking down on all forms of crypto fraud.
And yeah,
The authorities are taking serious notice. We're talking about the heavy hitters here, like the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Department of Justice. They are not sitting on the sidelines anymore. They're forming dedicated crypto enforcement units, sharing intelligence, and building the legal framework to actually police the digital asset space and protect investors.
And this is not just talk. I mean, this quote from a high-ranking DOJ official makes their mission crystal clear. They want to foster innovation for the good guys, but they are ready to bring the full weight of the law down on the bad actors who exploit the system. They're really aiming for balance here, not an outright ban.
Their focus also goes way beyond simple exit scams. They're targeting the manipulator's entire toolkit, including some of those more insidious tactics from traditional finance that have found a new home in crypto, like something called spoofing.
So what in the world is spoofing? Well, it's basically when a trader places a huge order they have absolutely no intention of actually letting go through. The whole point is to trick everyone else into thinking there's a huge wave of buying or selling pressure, which manipulates the price, and then they profit from that movement once they cancel their fake order. It is pure, calculated deception.
And the consequences for this are severe. This number, over $436 million, that is a real monetary penalty that was issued by the Commodity Futures Trading Commission in a single spoofing case. This is not a slap on the wrist. It is a crystal clear signal that market manipulation carries absolutely devastating financial penalties.
So with all this in mind, the schemes, the forensics, the regulations, what's the key takeaway for you? How do you actually navigate this wild landscape and protect yourself?
Okay, here are a few absolutely critical things to look for. First, does the project have locked liquidity? It's a mechanism that literally prevents developers from just running off with the pool. Is the smart contract code audited and public? Transparency is everything. Be really wary of projects that are driven entirely by social media crowd pumps. And finally, investigate the wallets of the early holders. If you see a large number of brand new, fresh wallets, that can be a huge sign that insiders are getting into position for a dump.
And I want to leave you with this final, thought-provoking question. It actually comes from the infamous Mango Markets case, where the exploiter, a guy named Avraham Eisenberg, defended his actions as a highly profitable trading strategy because he didn't technically break any of the platform's rules. It really forces us to ask, in a decentralized world, where does clever strategy end and illegal manipulation begin? The answer to that question is still being written.